to go right at the end of the pit lane, there's something emitting smoke. I thought it was someone vaping at the moment, but it's actually someone very regularly timing their exhaust puffs as such. So there are your runners and riders for Heat 2. Joel Suarez, Kim Einhardt, Carlos Fonseca, Juha Salaman, Luis Rees, Juuso Tyrinen, Hugo Prata, not checked in yet, doesn't mean he's not here. Ron Carlo Christa, Cohen Littlecup, and Nuno Vieira. So, no moving camera at the moment, maybe because the cameraman is trying to stand on the roof. They're trying to place the camera in a more precarious environment. I've stood on that roof, it's fine, it'll take your weight, sort of. What's the worst that can happen? You fall through I've fallen through a roof. I think when we did, one of the first things we ever did when we were filming for the it was actually the 12th World Championships in Bangkok in 2008, when they used to have the 12th and the 10th at the same time. And on the 12th, we had to rush through together. The position we had was was actually on a sort of a roof, but it was a kind of a balcony of a roof. But it wasn't like a balcony in a building. It was like this weird bit. The roof had a balcony, but you had to get across it. So we were running along. I was running a little bit late, and I had to hop through the window of someone's house. Remember that? It's a weird track that was like a house and a track, like a lot of Bangkok places are. So, and I just put my foot in the wrong place, went straight through the roof. The tiles collapsed on my foot, and most of it fell into the food that the sort of the Thai granny was making beneath it. The thing was, they all apologised for me for putting my foot through their roof, which I thought was quite impressive. And then we hopped across and we filmed the thing. But yeah. Just weird stuff. Stuff you really don't for long enough, you've fallen through a roof. That's what happens. Raceway 1 says, Nick, would you agree, assuming most people tune in to watch the Top Heat finals and with the Top Heat only running twice a day, 10 minutes, that the race meeting format is not very media friendly? Couldn't agree more. However, that is IFMAR qualifying for you, and if you try and move people from IFMAR qualifying, they are not happy about it. They want to have this qualifying period, they want to run the cars around their own, they want to race against the clock, and it's a weird situation. However, on the flip side, how else do you qualify in RC terms 120 people or 140 people here? Because everyone has, it's not just, everyone has a right to take part in the point about it is egalitarian is the European Championship. We might think we know who's going to win, but there's nothing to say that, Jaap van Barry Middelmaas from Holland might turn up and be fantastic. We haven't heard of him. It's unlikely, but there's no reason why he should be excluded just because we haven't heard of him. I don't think he's a top driver. The format is difficult. It's only interesting to RC people. 100%, couldn't agree more there. And obviously, if you look at RCGP, sponsor of this event, that's something that's been looked to be changed. But to change it for RCGP, you have to select a number of drivers to take part in the RCGP area. Now that's up to 4. There are 6 teams this year. There can be 7, so there's up to 14 drivers. Those 14 drivers are selected by sponsors, and obviously it's not. It is not a meritocracy. It is actually people are chosen. So it's by no means the 14 best drivers in the world. Not that that you wouldn't know who the 14 best drivers in the world, because it's it's a constantly moving button, and it depends on where you are in the country and in the world and what you think about. Maybe there's the kind of the nebulous top 25 rankings, but they are a guide at best. It's a little bit weighted towards the US because there's more big US races, but I think it's an interesting situation, really. I think what do you do? I mean, people talk long and hard. I think RCGP is a media-friendly format. That's the point of it, is that you have everything is a race, so there's no qualifying. The race is, we have 3 rounds of qualifying racing during the day. That's actual racing. It's not qualifying. You don't have to have a degree in maths to understand it. It's just whoever gets the first wins it. Then you have either a couple of 15-minute finals, or you have an hour-long final approximately, and all this done on shorter than average days, certainly shorter than American days. Depending on the number of RC2 entries, we're always finished by. Well, we try to finish by 6 local. Sometimes it's 6:30 local. We don't start super early. We start at 8:30. We try and start earliest at 9, perhaps 9:30. And that is one way of doing it. But at that point, by doing that, by narrowing down the field, you take away the concept of the European Championship, because you're just saying, or World Championship, because you're just saying these are the drivers we've selected to take part. Whereas, when we get to the Worlds in September, there'll be 150 to 180 drivers from all around the world, and the qualifying will be even duller because it'll be even longer. But with more top drivers, it's very, very difficult. I think that it's difficult with European Championships to work out how you're going to change them, to be honest. There's an element I always said that we should do qualifying racing, and I actually did a thing where put a whole structure together about how we do qualifying racing, and that went on the EFRA site, and people argued for and argued against it. There's a lot of people who, I think the public would back qualifying racing. Well, you qualify races, you're racing in your heats each time. You have a qualifying race, and that gets you where you're going to get to, and it's every race counts. Public would go, yeah, it's a brilliant idea. They'd love it. I would absolutely guarantee you get massive pushback from racers. They're so used to this trolling around qualifying thing now, where they get to their own little thing in their own little world for a few minutes and get very upset if someone gets in their way because they should be let through. It's what you do. It's interesting. It's a very different skill being able to do a 5-minute qualifier than it is doing a 20-minute, half-hour, or 45-minute race. So, I'm not a fan of how this is done, but I don't see a solution to changing it that people will accept, and that's the point. So if you have a dictatorship like RCGP, you can say this is how we're going to do it. And interestingly, all the drivers who come and do RCGP really, really enjoy the format because they're racing the whole time. But I'm not naive enough to realise they come at the end of the day. They've had a great time racing. Are they that concerned if it goes a bit wrong? No. Are they? We get some good arguments and everything else, but it's not the same as I lost the European Championship because of X, Y, Z. I lost a round of RCGP. The point about losing a round of RCGP is there's 7 more in the year, so you can win the other 7. The European Championship is a one-off event each year, and people want to do that, but yeah. So it's a race where I agree with you both. But I also wish I had a Danish pastry like you've got, to be honest. I think we get. I don't know how many people are watching now. As we're on 5 different platforms. It's a lot. I know it's several hundred. It might even be 1,000